Hello, friends. I'm DJ Lance Rock, and I have to say, Rock and Roll Grad School is awesome!
This is Rock and Roll Grad School with your hosts, Heidi Hedquist and Luke Poling. Beth can hear them calling, but she won't pick up the phone.
Hello, kiddies. We're going to have a real good time together because we are talking with Peter Holsapple from the DBs. He has a new solo record out, and it is a really, really good conversation.
Indeed it is.
I think it's because we don't say a lot and he does a lot of talking.
Of course, because people
Yes.
like it so much better without us.
Yes. So we've got that coming up. Other things to recover or other things to cover. Zach Starkey was kicked out of the Who last week. Pete Townsend says that was a mistake and something about phrasing. So he is actually in the Who or back in the Who or never left the Who.
Right. It was all a dream. Bobby's in the shower.
Right. Or the next record's going to be called Who's Left, Who's Next, Who's Something.
Who's that?
Who's wrong?
Who's that
Who's
tap
in?
tapping at my door?
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
The Hall of Fame the Hall of Fame inductees.
An album called Horton Here's a Who.
What'd you say?
What if the Who and the Reverend Horton Heat did a collab?
Or even he could just do a cover record.
Right, do a cover record.
Horton Hears the Who.
Yes. Why?
Oh my God, that is.
Why is this not? Why?
Yeah, why? One, we need to get him on the show, but two, we need to tell him about Horton Hears the Who.
Right. And we need the t-shirt. Yes. And the album cover. I mean, just the album cover alone
would be great.
Right.
That is a brilliant brainstorm.
Thank you.
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm. Every now and again, I prove my worth.
Broken clock, yes.
I know.
And then the fan vote for the Hall of Fame induction, Fish won by a landslide.
I mean, didn't we know this would happen?
I think you kind of had to assume.
I mean, we knew this would happen.
And last year, Dave Matthews apparently just ran away with it as well, which makes sense.
Also.
Right. Bands with incredibly dedicated followings do very well in public polls. Go figure.
I mean, it's kind of
who would have thought?
You just sort of kind of phone it in at that point.
I think so.
Yeah. That's just the way.
I'm sure Trey's already got his tuxedo steamed and picked up at the cleaners already.
I think it's happening.
Yeah. Well, good for them.
Yeah.
Have you seen them?
No.
Live? I saw them once. This was some time ago. They were because you could still mail away for tickets.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a very smaller operation. I mean, they're still huge, but and I ended up in the 12th row from my subscribing to the Fish newsletter since back in high school.
Mm-hmm.
It was great because you could watch all four of them play and communicate like with each other without saying anything, and it was wonderful. And the gentleman next to me, every time Trey looked in, I'm gonna say our half of the shed outdoor thing, would just yell as loudly as he could, "You are the Jedi Masters of rock and roll."
I mean,
which is what somebody wants to hear.
Yes.
A bunch of times in a show.
Without doubt.
So I kind of feel like I can say I saw them. I got the best of them. I got to see the four of them do their thing. Mm-hmm. Let me leave now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
That sound means it's time to go now, doesn't it? Or are we supposed to turn the page?
We're supposed to turn the page. I think we're absolutely supposed to turn the page.
Yes.
wake up in the morning with the sun in my eyes.
So I've started recording. We edit this later, so if there's anything you want to rephrase as we talk, we can take it out. We're not trying to make all of us sound smarter, basically, is the long and the short of it.
You're not going to feed me into a chat generator and
We should.
my,
that's a really
take
good
all
idea.
my verbal tics and add them in, and
We could make a record with that. That'd be
Oh,
great.
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's doable, right? Just got to find a 16-year-old who can do that.
I know.
17-year-old who can manipulate the media. So
Yeah.
that said, you want to talk about my record?
Yes,
Yeah.
of course we do.
Did you all
Please.
listen to the record?
I did. It was a lot of fun to listen to.
Yes.
Good.
Really varied too. I
It's
was
a
enjoying
different
it.
kind of record for me.
Yeah. So how does this all come about? Because are you writing songs and this bunch happened then, or how did you get to this group of songs and to put this record together?
Well, I did that record a few years ago called Game Day that came out on Omnivore, which was a nice, it was an idea that came to fruition, but it didn't sound very good ultimately because I recorded all the parts myself and I didn't have anybody to bounce ideas off of. And so it got very inbred. It's an inbred kind of record, unfortunately. So I thought this time around, if I was going to do another record, I'd like to do it with a band and a producer. So there I am. I write a song called Larger Than Life, which is the third song on the record and the first single. And it was my song of grief for my bandmate, my late bandmate, Carlo Nuccio from the Continental Drifters, who had died of cancer and took a huge, giant Carlo-shaped hole of the universe with him. So I write this song, right? That's my grief. And I listen to the demo and I think, maybe I should see what I've done since I finished Game Day, because I know I've written a bunch of songs, but I just write. I don't have a counter or anything clicking off the number that I do. But so I sat and I listened to about 16 songs, and I thought, well, I might have a record in here. And then I sent them to Dixon, who is a big brother of mine for many, many years, in the same sense that the DBs are all my brothers. Dixon is my big brother because he's a few years older than I am. And we used to go see his band when we were young teenagers in Winston-Salem, playing the Black Sabbath records. So of course he's, inviolable taste with that sort of stuff, right?
Of course, yeah.
So I sent the songs and he was like, well, here's what I think. Here's 11 songs that I think we should cut. I don't think the other songs are bad, but I don't think they fit in as well. And so I listened to those 11 songs and I thought, this could be a record. So then I went about the business of making the record. And I did that in 3.5 days.
Really? That's it?
That's amazing.
Well, Dixon was at the helm, had this great engineer, Jason Richmond, who you've seen his work. Are you all Margaret Glaspie fans? Do you know Margaret Glaspie?
I don't know her.
Oh, I don't either.
Yeah.
Check her out.
We definitely will. Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to check her out. That's rare when someone stumps us both, like one or the other. Yeah. So now we need to check her out because that's
great. She picks a mean Telecaster and she plays in a trio, which of course endears her to me tremendously.
Yeah.
She's also got a total like Berkeley kind of jazz.
Okay.
But not jazz, more compositional aspects. And I don't even know if she went to Berkeley. I couldn't tell you her backstory at all, except that she had a record that came out a couple of years ago that I'm going to have to find the name of and let you know what that is. And it was just stunning. The guitar chord shapes were
Echo the Diamond.
What's that?
Echo the Diamond. That's a solo.
No.
Okay.
There's one like Love and Mathematics or Math and.
Okay, that's just a great title. So I love her already.
I don't think that's quite it, but it's
in
something
that vicinity.
to that effect. If you want to.
Emotions and Math.
Yes.
Oh,
That
that's a good
that's an
title
even
too.
better title.
Yeah.
Yes.
You must promise me that when you get finished listening to me rant, you shall play that song and you shall compare notes and see if you like it as much as
We
I.
will.
I just think she's great. So Jason Richmond mixed this live EP of hers, which I mean he had, but where I'd worked with him, same studio, 6 minutes from home. Can't beat that.
Oh.
Was when I was recording with a band called Paranoid Style. Now, you're nodding your head, Heidi. You know this band. And Luke, do you know this band also? They're on Bar None.
I do not.
Okay.
I'm really embarrassing myself here.
No. It's okay. You know, I can. I'm. I'm. I don't mean to be connected to today's top hits as much
It
as
just
I
happens
am.
that way. Yeah.
Because I otherwise feel highly disconnected from the music business, A, as we knew it, and B, as we're supposed to know it now. You know, I mean, just my mere existence flies in the face of AI. You know, what was the thing that the guy said? The AI composition site CEO said, I don't think people like to spend time writing music. I don't think they enjoy it very much.
So ridiculous.
I'm like,
I can't.
okay, let's see what's in your BMI Songview catalog there.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think he misses the point, you know. You write these songs. I wrote these songs. I've these other 5 songs that I wrote, they're great. I'm gonna take them out with me too and play them for people. And then figure out what the hell to do with them. You know, but right now I got an album with 11 great songs.
Yeah. And
And
you played
I'm
lead on this record, didn't you?
oh, I certainly did. If I may pat myself
No,
on
please, because this is the
the
first
back.
this is one of the first times you've done that on record, correct?
Well, sort of, yes. I play okay, so I'm the lead guitar player for the Paranoid Style. I play lead guitar on the album that they released last year called The Interrogator, which is a really, even if I wasn't involved with it, I would just be totally blown away. Elizabeth Nelson, who writes the music and the words, is unique and just an incredible, it's like a dynamo of words. I don't know how to say it. I mean, when she writes words to a song, she writes a lot of words to a song, and they're all great. She tells stories, she makes observations, but it's not like, you know, I mean, I don't want to say Lou Reed, I don't want to say Jim Carroll, I don't want to say Dylan. She's involved with Dylan though, because she wrote the liner notes for that 1974 live box that just came out.
Mm-hmm.
But she's, you know, she writes for the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times. She writes everywhere. And she works for Fender. I like that. She writes ad copy for Fender. So, but it's a pleasure to get to, you know, talk about feeling. This is the back half of my career, right? We'd have to agree. I'm turning 69 next month. I don't think there's another 70 years left in me. I would love it, but you know, this is where things change a little bit. I'm gonna put out what I want to put out because there's no real commercial expectation being lobbed at me at this point. I think, you know, as in the song The Face of 68, if it was going to happen, it would have happened by now. And would it matter anyhow? You know, I mean, that's the thing. I get to write these songs. Every so often, somebody nice will come along and say, you've written some really great songs. I like these songs. I like to play your songs. I like to listen to your songs. And that's great. And I get to do that, and I get to enjoy that. And I think about people who have jobs that they go to their job and they labor away at something and they don't like it. And I'm thinking maybe that guy with the AI compositional firm, maybe he walks in there and thinks, oh, what am I going to do today? How can I level the playing field even more? You know? So all I get to do is I get to throw a few bricks and broken pieces of broken glass on the playing field.
Well, and it seems in some ways like the perfect analogy for this record in one way that I'm trying to remember the song. It was one of the early ones. It might have been Phase for 68, 69. There was a phrase in there when I was like, that would never be in a song written by a 20-year-old. And I cannot remember the word, but I was just like, it was interlocutor, something like that, where I was just like, there's no way this phrase would ever
Oh, the
get
power
in
of
there.
time to marginalize.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, that's a line that Dixon pointed out too. And I think that if I'm not writing different songs with different style wording that reflects on my age and sage wisdom, then I will have just been stuck in a rut. And I don't think the Ramones were stuck in a rut, or Al Green, even though they wrote a lot of the same type of music their entire careers, right? I mean, I think you find something good, you stick with it. I mean, I write pop rock songs. This record, however, is less pop rock and more rock, if I may put too fine a point on it.
Yeah,
You
you definitely hear that.
I think this is, as I say, the back 40 for me is all going to be about playing guitar through an amp, pretty loud. And if I can't do that, take the acoustic guitar and play it really loud and sing, look at my life as rhythm, guitar, and vocals. If I can get the song across with that, then I'll have to worry about that stupid harmonica holder around my neck and try to do stuff like that out, or tunings and stuff. I just want to hit it and play it and make it get across to people. That's the thing. That's the part that's the one part I have not gotten at all, is people that hear these songs of mine like them, but people don't have a place to hear them. There's no place to direct them to hear them.
Yeah.
I mean, I can say, go to Spotify. You can find some of my stuff there. Go to the local record store, where they may have stuff on backorder. I don't figure into prominent end caps the way things used to be. I used to work at Borders in New Orleans. That's where I met my beautiful wife of She and Me fame, and also of She Won't Drive in the Rain, if you remember that song from the last DB's record, Falling Off the Sky. She's my hero. But we met at a bookstore, and that was kind of great. Do people do that anymore?
No,
Somebody
unfortunately.
must, yeah.
There aren't that many. Borders is definitely gone.
Oh yeah, Borders ate itself when it was all about the what do you call those things? The non-book items, like those stupid monkeys hanging from the trees.
Yes. Oh yes.
Yeah.
Sidelines.
Yeah.
Sidelines. I don't
Yes.
My wife hates that when I yell out in excitement. But yeah, I've gotten to make these records. I get to make this record. I'm going to make records like this. I'll make a hard acoustic record next, maybe. I don't know, but I can see the future now. I was so glad to go out and play those DB songs last year for people. That made me so happy. And because the people that were going to see us play either knew the songs from when they were kids, or from their parents' record collection,
Right.
or from some random playlist. I guess that's where people hear you now, is playlists. Note to self, get off playlists. But I mean, they got to hear the songs that they wanted to hear played really well. We had a guy named Wes Show out on the keyboards with us, who played all my beautiful keyboard parts and horn parts, like on Living a Lie. Man, he nailed that stuff. He was so great, and just the nicest person you could possibly want. And Yes, Peter. And he owns the recording studio where I recorded The Face of 68 and the Paranoid Style record, and have recorded various things with the DBs over the years. So
it's interesting as you're talking through all of this. It sounds very much like you're looking at your work and I don't want to use the word art because it sounds pretentious, but like what you're creating, it sounds like it's reached a point where you were doing all of this with the guardrails off. That there is no like, is someone going to like this? I don't care. I like this. And there's songs on this record like My Idea 49, which just seems like something that somebody along the way would say, don't put that on a record. And this is just you just being like, no, screw it. I'm putting this on. I like this. This makes me laugh.
maybe I should make you my A&R guy for the next one.
That's exactly, yeah. I always sound like I love the product. That's
Yes.
all I
You
say.
know, I've always done that thing with the guardrails off with songs like that one. You know, I don't know. I mean, that song had a bunch of different lyrics before it ended up with that, and so maybe there's a compromise there. But it was fun to record. I'll say that. And Rob Ladd, who plays drums, did all those marvelous percussion overdubs and the last choruses, because Dixon just had him play hi-hat through there on the track. And then he came back in and he did like a bunch of different tracks of just like messy percussion stuff. So that was great. I think that there are songs on this record. And again, I'll ask you, since you're now my A&R guy.
Yeah, sure.
By the
Please.
way, when's dinner?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that there are songs on this record that people could say, yeah, I could see playing that on a radio show, or I could see putting that someplace where people might hear it. You know, it doesn't sound too far afield from fill in favorite modern
Yep.
artist here. I don't even know who that is anymore. I don't know who my modern artist competitions are. You know,
Right.
I mean, I don't think it matters. I don't think there's competition. I think there's room for everybody. And I'm just going to keep doing this until I can't do it. That's all I can do, because otherwise, what am I going to do? Go try to get a job? I've tried that. I'm working. I do work. I've got a job. I'm working part-time in the ticket office at the Durham Performing Arts Center, which I love. It's a job I had 12 years ago also, and I did it for a while, and then I went full-time there and took a salary and got insurance, and life was mostly about working there. And so then it became obvious that I was not a very happy guy working 80 hours a week. So my beloved wife, who is now a librarian at Duke University, said, maybe you should stay at home and take care of the kids. How about that? I'm like, yeah, I can do that. I can wash clothes and dishes and floors. Just try me. So that's what I do. I love it. It's not all that rock. I think often also, not to guide this conversation all over the place, but I've recently been thinking a lot about those days of early touring in the late 70s, early 1980s, and how blatant disregard for everything played into almost every night. The debauchery was distressing to look back on, even as much fun as it was at the time. But, I mean, like I say, not writing the same kind of lyrics. Similarly, I don't feel the same way I felt about the dissolute Peter Holsapple of 1982. I think often, and this, I always say this in my parents' voice, you could have been doing something better with your time. My parents' voices come to me often, and I'm all right with that. They were very good about putting up with a guy that wanted to be a rock star for his son, and the other one that was a classically trained organist and professional discotheque general manager in New York City.
Creative spirits.
Yeah, it's a funny thing, I mean, it's a family of generations of Harvard and Harvard Law School. And I mean, going back to the early 1800s generations. And then you get to my brother and me, and it's like, oh shit. So I don't know. But my parents kept scrapbooks and everything, which is great.
And I don't think you should. I think there was nothing better to be doing. I mean, debauchery aside, which, can argue about that later, whether that was bad or good. But I don't know. I think that both of what, I don't know your brother, but I know people who were in the discotheques and DJs that were putting a lot of love out into the world, in the best positive definition of that at that time, and the music and what music that you've brought to the world. I don't know. I think a lot of us need what you've brought to the world in all of those eras. And so I don't think you could have been doing anything better. So
I have something that nobody else in my family has.
exactly.
Even though my brother had the training, I'm all self-taught. So, but my brother, was the one that leaned into my mother and said, "Do not get him piano lessons. He knows what he's doing."
Yes.
So, and he was right. He drew numbers on the piano keyboard, and I worked out "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star" on the onion skin paper on the cardboard that he made for me.
Mm-hmm. That's all you needed.
Yep, exactly. So why don't you ask me a question, so I'll shut the.
Oh no,
No,
people don't
please.
come to, these are our best interviews, are the ones where we don't do all the talking.
Oh Lord.
I mean, we were happy to.
You had me. I'm Luke, and
Right.
I'll be your A&R team.
I mean, we're happy to ask questions, but what we love about our show, and our listeners tend to love about our show, is when it is just a conversation, and when our guests do most of the talking. But we'll ask away too. We can dominate if you need us to, and then you'll go, "Oh God, why did I give them permission to talk?" You think you derailed
I
the
would never do
conversation.
that. I would never do that.
Oh, try us.
Well, just give us a shot.
Just give us a second.
Well, but what you were saying before when you hired me, like what's the song that goes out on the air? For my mind, one for the book is one that starts, and when that organ comes in, just like I don't like. There's just that feeling of like, oh, okay, this is what we need. This is what just the song is in full force. The mix is like just all of it. It just feels like this is new, but we've been here before in the best possible way, if that makes any sense.
It does.
The records where you hear and you're like, I think we're best friends, and we're just hearing each other for the first time.
Well, that one also is the only song that features an acoustic guitar on it. So I don't know whether that's significant. You listen to the record again if you get a chance.
Yeah.
Put it in that context. It's a true story. It did happen. It's a sad story. It ends up with the worst of all possible outcomes. But I don't want to say a lot more about it, except that it's a song I trust because it's a song that came all at once, the music and the lyrics. And there have been, I've written a lot. I was looking the other day, and I have like 167 songs through BMI right now. Not all of them are great or anything like that, but all of my catalog that I've done for years and years and years. And I don't know. The ones that were written all at the same time, the lyrics, or the bulk of the lyrics, and the melody and the tempo. I like to cite Amplifier by the DBs as one, because that came to me when I walked downtown from a rehearsal at 8th Avenue between 38th and 39th down to my home behind CBGB's at 2nd Street and 2nd Avenue. So it was basically a diagonal cut. And I kept this pace, and a lot is made of Paul McCartney's walk along tempo sort of stuff, listen to what the man said. But that's Amplifier was like that. Amplifier was like that. What's the tempo of this? This is what it is. And I just started singing it. I got that line of the the first line of the song, and it all fell together. So of course, nothing to write it down on. So by the time I got home, I had to really trust my memory to be able to pull out most of that song that I'd written on the way down. But I would say it was 85% done.
How
So
do you
that's
normally write?
but the same thing with like sitting there with like, once I got those chords worked out for one for the book, I was like, okay, how do we do this? I want to tell the story, but it's like a lot of stuff to talk about. So I tried to keep it trim. I tried to keep the verses kind of trim and leave them open for interpretation somewhat. And then and throw a couple of stupid guitar solos in. So I knocked it out of the park.
Well, and how do you normally write? Are you constantly just jotting down phrases on scraps of paper, or are you more of a melodic guy where you just sit around playing the guitar till something hits you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's really on a song by song basis. There are stuff that a bunch of lyrics will come out at once, and I'll sit with them and I'll look at that and I'll have a guitar in hand. Or other way around, I'll look at the blank piece of paper and the pen and I'll churn out chords. I used to be really bad about that. I would do full demos with horns and keyboards and violin parts, and no lyrics. And still, to this day, what is it, maybe 40 years later, no lyrics. But I don't know. Maybe it'll come.
Hmm.
I just don't, again, I mean, I'm not a guy that belabors a point. I think a song that I have had songs that I have worked on for a long stretch of time, not just sitting there working on it the whole time, but picking it up and working on it for a couple of weeks and then thinking, and then putting it down for 2 months and then picking it up again for a week and also, and then finally it's like, we need another song for the record, so let's get that thing finished up, shall we? And so we got it finished up and recorded, and it sucks. So, but I mean, the essence of the song, the elements of the song, if I were to go back to the original demo that I did on a 4-track reel-to-reel at the Music Building at 8th Avenue between 38th and 39th on the 6th floor in our rehearsal room, one night when I didn't have a girlfriend and I was bunking in our rehearsal space with a couple of 6-packs of beer, and I churned that sort of stuff out every night, and that was the essence of the song. Years later, it made it onto a DB's record, but it just didn't sound good. It sounded like something that people had, ridden around the racetrack at the wrong speed with the wrong track conditions, at the fastest they could go. So what are you going to do?
Hmm.
I'll go back and do it for my hard acoustic record and see if it works better that way.
Oh, that'd be interesting to just go back to these songs that maybe you feel didn't click one way or the other, and almost take them apart and go under the hood and see what it could be that is the thing that it needs. Um, I feel like as a listener, it'd be fascinating to hear the things that you feel on certain songs, what works, what doesn't work, and how you address those problems. Because I think one of those things you mentioned, the Dylan box, that's so interesting to see is the way he works, the way he plays with words and moves stuff around, and how the evolution of things. And I think it'd be fascinating to see these songs that you kind of look at as the one that got away or the one that never fit what you wanted it to be. And if you could even now with your, skill level and, just like how far you are removed from the original inspiration, if you could look at it and go, oh, that's what it needs now. It needs a different bridge, it needs a different chorus or something like that. If it's just arrangement, where these things could go or should go.
I have the perfect name for the record. Peter
Okay.
Holsapple rethinks his whole career.
That would be amazing. That
Wow.
questions all of it.
Yeah, no.
No.
Nope, this is where
Okay.
I reject.
A&R team is
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I did, it's funny though, talking about revisiting. So I was saying Game Day had come out. I think it was 2018 it came out. And it's all me recording by myself and no band and stuff like that. I had and I can't seem to find the tracks for that. So that one is kind of committed to what's on the CD. But my thought was maybe I could go back and recut that record with a live band one day and see, because again, I stand by those songs. I think there's some, there's some really great songs, and there's some really bizarre songs. She handed him a pencil. What? That's a song that my son's college friends really dig. Why? I don't, you'll never know. You never know these things. There's like a Continental Drifters song called Down by the Great Mistake. It's this drunken dialogue between me and Vicky Peterson. And it was like this total terrible throwaway that was supposed to be that I thought would have been really hilarious if Susan and I had sung it, even though we were going through our marital split at that point. But she understandably didn't want to do that. So that's cool. So I did it with Vicky. So it seems a little weirder and out of context that way. Nonetheless, it made it onto the last Drifters record, Better Day. Deeply buried somewhere on side 2, I think. So don't think about this song for a while. All of a sudden, 2 things happen. There's a anime softcore porn video that uses it as a soundtrack.
The greatest honor.
I mean, that is when you know you've made it.
Yeah.
So, and then somebody asked for it to use it for a commercial, but they wanted an instrumental version of it. And of course, it's like, I don't know where those tapes are. That was up at Dockside in Maurice, Louisiana. And I don't know whether those tapes are still there or not, or whether anybody could do it. But nonetheless, it was like, that's a song that you wouldn't expect to have like a second life, much less 2 kind of bizarre ones that happened, I would say, within a month of each other. I mean, years after the fact.
Yeah, that's what's crazy is it's like back to back. Yeah.
So that's why I keep thinking one day some TV guy is going to say, or lady, hopefully, will say, that Love Is for Lovers song, I remember that from when I was a college student. And I bet that would be a great theme song for this loser guy. We can't call it Love Is for Losers, though. Maybe we can get Holsapple to re-sing it like that. And I'm looking at what? 5 figures? I'm in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Why not?
I was ashamed that I couldn't fit Virginia Is for Lovers in there.
Yes, it is.
It certainly is.
The Face of 68, the new album by Peter Holsapple, is available right now wherever you get your music. For more information, you can find him on Instagram, where he is at peter.holsapple.
Rock and Roll Grad School is produced by the Professional Production Company. Please be sure to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, because your impassioned review is just as honest as us standing backstage waiting to come back on for the encore. For more information, you can check out our website, rockandrollgradschool.com. And like everyone else, we're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Today's show was recorded and produced by Heidi Hegquist and myself from our world headquarters located on the 2nd floor of the professional office building, centrally located downtown. Our reluctant executive producers are John Sauvé and Sandy Stone. Our willing executive producers are Rachel Allen and Randy Jeanette. Our intern is Zach Jackson. This one's for Philippe. Thanks for joining us. Good night, drive safe. May all your favorite bands stay together.
When you step out of sight, I